Nomadland won 3 Oscars this week, and a lot of you and a lot of us who were involved in the movie, even back when we were filming a couple years ago, were wondering if there was going to be a Nomadland effect, similar to what the movie Wild did to the Pacific Crest Trail. And I was inspired to do longer through hiking because of Wild and did the JMT after reading the book. And became through hiking the PCT and the ACT, or the Appalachian Trail. Yeah, the Appalachian Trail, the AT, and the CDT, the Continental Divide Trail. All of them, hiking in general, became way more popular. So a lot of us are wondering, is Nomadland going to make it really, really crowded out here? Are a lot more people going to want to live in RVs and vans and cars? And is it going to be harder to find solitude and peace and be at one with nature? So I'm going to talk about that in today's video.
There ain't nobody gonna do it for you. You got to find your own.
I don't know. So what do you think? Is the movie Nomadland going to make it so crowded out here that it's just not going to be fun to live like this anymore? When we were shooting the movie, when I first heard about the movie and was invited to be an extra in the movie, and I heard that Frances McDormand was going to play the main character, I was like, oh geez, here we go. This is awful. I wanted to be a part of the movie. But I was also extremely concerned that we were going to have a wild effect, that it was going to make a lot of people want to live on the road and live in RVs. And, the selfish part of me was just like, yeah, that's going to really suck. But I also know from my travels that there's a lot of space out here. It might take a little extra work to find it, and I've learned that in the last year. Just because of the pandemic, it's gotten so crowded out here because people can't go on their normal vacations. RV sales have gone through the roof. I'm seeing rental camper vans on the road the last year that were never there before. So this lifestyle, or camper vanning, van life, hashtag van life, has gotten more popular over the years anyway, and as many of you have pointed out, I'm partly to blame for that, right? Those of us who are on YouTube talking about it and showing the lifestyle. I learned about the lifestyle from YouTube. So yeah, it's already gotten crowded, and my concern when we were on set, when we were shooting the movie, was really that it was going to glorify the lifestyle, that people were going to think, oh, it's free and it's wonderful and it's easy. And anybody who's been following me for a while knows that I think there are too many people who don't show the realities of it. I think there are a lot of people, the van life, hashtag van life, it's all about the pretty views and your feet out the back of your van with an amazing view, without talking about the realities of living on the road, which can be very challenging, especially if you're on a budget. And I'll put links below to playlists of my travels. I've been on the road 5 years. I've been making videos for 4.5. I've documented so many of the trials and tribulations, and it's not easy. And so I was a little worried that Hollywood would glorify the lifestyle. When the movie came out, when I first saw it a few months ago, now I think it's been a few months ago, I was pleasantly surprised. Many of you thought it was depressing. Many of you thought it was sad and depressing and cast a really bad, negative light on the lifestyle. I was impressed with how realistic it was. And what I think, and I've said this in other review videos, I'll put a link up here and in the description below, in my review of the movie, my second one especially, after watching it again, I was blown away with how realistic, how well Chloe Zhao and Frances McDormand did of portraying the realities of the life, especially, I think, the loneliness. Not the loneliness, the aloneness, because I don't think Fern was lonely. I don't think Fern in the movie was lonely. I'm not lonely most of the time, like hardly ever, but there is definitely a quiet, an aloneness that you feel that's around you, I think especially in your first years on the road. And I think Nomadland captured that brilliantly. I think Frances McDormand and Chloe Zhao captured that brilliantly. Fern sitting in her van eating, and that knock at the door, and how much of a an invasion that feels like, and how abrupt it is when you're just peacefully eating inside your van. Although the first couple years on the road, you're kind of on guard about that, but maybe it's more than a couple years. If I'm in a place that I'm not sure about, or a popular place, I'm always a little on guard. And that's a reality of the road that I don't know gets portrayed a lot on YouTube, but I think it was portrayed in the movie. So while I think the movie didn't glamorize or glorify or sensationalize or Hollywoodize the movie, congratulations Chloe Zhao, I think it's brilliant. While it didn't do that at all, and it left a lot of people feeling sad, I do think there are some people who saw through that and just saw another side of the story about it being, especially for people who are unlimited income, and if your choice is being homeless on the streets of Los Angeles or New York City or Houston or whatever, if your choice is to live on the streets or live in a box or live under a bridge or live in subsidized housing or couch surf, I think a lot of people did learn that there is another way. And that's what Bob tries to show people, that you don't have to live that way, that you can take control simply by living in your vehicle, and you don't necessarily have to live in your vehicle in a city. You can come out here and you can do it and you can thrive instead of hiding and all the stuff that comes with being homeless within an urban area, which is no way to live for a lot of people. Some people are okay with that. So, yeah, I do think there is going to be a little bit of a Wild effect. I don't know that it will be as bad. Reading the reviews and seeing a lot of the comments about the movie, they're still, like with Wild, for me, watching Cheryl Strayed suffer through her hike and do everything wrong, it made me think, well, if she did it, I can do it too, which is what I say my channel has been about. I do a lot of things wrong. I make a lot of mistakes, and by showing those mistakes, I'm hoping to be teaching, and I am. But I still think in the end, Wild glorified it in some ways, and it made everybody feel like, yeah, if she did it, look at all the mistakes she made, that huge pack. If she did it, anybody can do it. I don't know that there's such a stigma. There's not a stigma around through hiking, right? It's kind of a romantic idea about getting a backpack and hiking the Pacific Crest Trail and being on the trail for 4 months and 5 months, and you get a what do they call it? A tramily, a trail family, a tramily, I think that's what they call it. And you get a trail name, and you get to meet people and, raid hiker boxes. There's a lot of romanticism around that. I don't know that, and there certainly is some romanticism about being a nomad and living the way I live, but I don't think the movie showed a romanticism around living in a van. I think it showed such a reality of breaking down and not having the money, having to move from state to state to find back-breaking work, especially the book. I thought the book did a much better job of portraying the realities of seasonal workers and gig workers than the movie just kind of glossed over that, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't think we're going to have the Wild effect. I do think we'll have a Nomadland effect a little bit, not a lot. Not as much as the Wild. Some of the reviews, they still view people like Fern as homeless losers who couldn't make it in the real world, and I'm seeing that in comments and reviews. I see it in my own comments and reviews. Despite my story of having a successful career in the San Francisco Bay Area and giving it up by choice and building another business, which is my YouTube channel, and doing well, paying taxes, contributing to the economies that I travel to, people still think I'm a bum. So there's always a stigma, I think, for a certain amount of the population, whereas hiking, taking 4 months off and finding a way to hike, a through hike, doesn't have that stigma. So I don't know that we're going to see as much of an effect out here. I don't think it's going to get overly crowded any more than it already is. I think the pandemic is probably I would guess is probably the height of the crowdedness that we're going to see. And we're going to see the effects of that, I think, for a couple of years. I remember after the crash of 2008, my husband and I would go camping in pretty remote areas in a pretty remote area. It was a designated campground in a national forest, and it was crowded for years because people could no longer afford to go on their other vacations and they picked up camping. So even after the pandemic, things are going to be crowded for a while, but things will calm down. They won't be as crowded, I think, as they were last year and potentially this year. And yeah, more people are going to come out here because of the movie. But I don't think I can't see getting to a point where you can never find solitude, where you can never get away from the crowds. I've talked in other videos, so I'm not going to talk about it in this one, how to do that. I'll put links up here and links below about how to find amazing campsites away from the crowds. And even myself, I'm being forced to go away from the places I normally go, to go exploring a little bit more and really just explore, really just go out away from the crowds because the crowds are everywhere. So that's it. So let me know what you think. What do you think Nomadland is going to cause it to get so overcrowded on all these public lands? And again, there's a ton of room out here. It's just that people congregate in all the areas that are easy to get to, all the areas that are on the apps, Campendium and freecampsites.net and all the other ones. But if you learn how to find your own site without those apps, using maps, using like Free Roam or U.S. Public Lands by Technomadia, that was the first one I used. Technomadia has a, what is it called? It's U.S. Public Lands, and I used that one also. So there's a couple apps that you can find just to find public lands, then use some navigating skills and Google Maps satellite, and you can go find your own spots that aren't on any of the popular apps, if that's what you want, if you want solitude. All right, so I hope that gave you some food for thought. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Everybody who is here, who supports me, who joins Patreon, likes my videos, watches my videos all the way through, shares my videos, and leaves a kind comment supporting me and letting me know that what I do matters. You all mean the world to me, and I couldn't be here making videos, my life work, without you. So thank you so much. I'll see you next time. In the meantime, be happy, be free, and be kind. I'll see you soon.